dia everyone. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, but good day. Sorry. So good day everyone. Today I'm on my way to go show you downtown where you see the video at night. Now during the day a tour of that area. It's called Lapa, and I'm using the metro today. So I don't really need to buy a card here because I can use my credit card, and since I'm not here for long, that's what I'm doing. So the metro is about 4 floors down, which means it's like really deep, again deep, and I am not sure the extent it goes. All I know is that it does go from Copacabana to the city center to Tijuca as well, and there are I think 3 lines, but I'm gonna confirm that and put it for you here. The train will be here in 3 minutes. I didn't even have to run, but I didn't want to miss the next one. If you're using the metro and you're not even sure where to stop, don't worry, just put your stop in Google. It actually tracks the direction for you and tells you which next stop to stop, like when it's your time to stop. So I actually took the wrong exit, and so I found it easier to come back into the metro and take the right one as opposed to try and find my way outside there, because as you know, me and directions have never really been friends. So yeah, back again, and then I came out on the other side. Oh, directions. If Google Maps didn't exist, I would get lost everywhere. Okay, I already get lost everywhere, but at least I find myself. I don't know who would find me otherwise. Yeah, I got lost again. But it wasn't my fault this time, it was Google's, because it took me round, and then in this square it used to keep taking me to the buses over there, and so I went back and forth, and then finally I saw the group of people here, and I was like, that looks like a group of tourists. So as I was walking towards it, that's when I realized I should have read the message and see where we are supposed to meet, like the name. And so I saw the clock tower, and here is the clock tower. And yes, I'm joining another group tour, but this one is not a paid one. This is a free walking tour. So any city you go to, try and find that city free walking tours. It's this concept where some guides give walking tours. It's not, they don't have a set amount of fee like to pay upfront, but you can give them a tip afterwards based on how you felt about the tour. So that's the free walking tours. So I'm doing one today of Lapa and downtown Rio, just because I want to know a little bit of history. I don't want to do it by myself. So yeah, let's join these people here. Looks like a large group, but I think it's 2 groups, English and Portuguese. But yeah, let's see how this goes. As usual, we started with some introductions from our guide, who was Nina, and she was really nice. She told us a lot of history. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this tour of downtown Rio.
The city, Carioca. I am a Carioca myself, born and raised here. But can you
So, who is a Carioca? A Carioca is somebody born in the city of Rio de Janeiro, not the state, just the city. And the word itself, it's an indigenous word that comes from one of the indigenous languages, and it's very funny. So when the white settlers started coming to the coast of Rio de Janeiro, they would build houses, and when the indigenous community saw them, they would call them white men's houses. Carioca. Cari meaning white men and Oca meaning houses. So whenever they said Carioca, the white men confused the name to be the name of these people, so they started calling them Carioca, and up to this day the people born in Rio de Janeiro are called Cariocas, not just the indigenous, everybody else. Our first stop of the tour was the St. Anthony Cathedral just there, and listen to Nina explain.
And here in Brazil we have a tradition, so if you're single and you want to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, we usually pick, let me show you. We usually pick the statue of the saint. The saint has a child. We separate the saint from the child. We hide the child and we pick the poor saint, a glass of water, and drown the saint, put him upside down. And we say, we're only going to put you back when you find me a partner. So we threat the poor saint and put the glass of water on top of the fridge and we wait. I have an aunt that's been waiting for 20 years. She still haven't found a husband, but who knows?
Yep, I couldn't have said it better. So in Brazil, Valentine's Day is celebrated on June 12th because of Carnival. So Carnival is in February, and so people want to be single and then they get back together in June. And then on June 13th, it's St. Anthony's Day, they go get married, and then the following February they break up so they can enjoy Carnival. I am just kidding, but some people might just do that. So please don't do that if it's you. In this walkway of the St. Anthony Cathedral is a very nice and interesting chronological revolution of Rio. So we see Rio from how it started in 1608. As you can see, it was so green, and then it goes further to this 1650, and some houses started building when the white men started settling. And then 1723, a few more houses but not too much, and then there was many houses. Which year was this? 1824. So what happened between that? Then Rio started building. As you can see a hint of sugarloaf at the back even now, but by 1955 you could not see sugarloaf anymore. So to me, they call it development, but to me it feels like destroying nature. But Rio, the buildings are beautiful, but I wish it was as green as it was before. And this is the square as it stands today. See, no sugarloaf. In the 16th century, the Portuguese had started to expand their exploration of other parts of Earth. So they landed in Brazil, but at this moment, they were not using the colony for anything else other than the extraction of Brazil wood that was used for some exotic dye in Europe. Then later on, when they needed to establish a colony, they came to Rio de Janeiro and expelled the French, and that day is the one that is known today as when the Portuguese discovered Brazil. But we don't use the word discovered because it was already there. It's when they invaded Brazil. After expelling the French, the Portuguese established Brazil as a colony, and soon after, especially after gold was discovered, it became their main colony. In 1807, when the Napoleon War threatened the king's position in Portugal, they all fled to Brazil and established it as their own capital. And that is when Brazil stopped being a colony, but it became part of the monarchy. Now, this happened overnight. So literally 15,000 royals were in their homes in Portugal, Lisbon, happy, merry, probably drinking some wine, and then they were told, we got to go to South America. And they had to go in a hurry because war doesn't wait for no man. So where do you think the 15,000 people who fled Portugal in a hurry and went to Brazil unprepared lived when they got to Rio de Janeiro? Picture this. You are a 19th century Brazilian, you're rich, you have a nice family with 1 floor or 2 floors because that was the measure of wealth, and you're just being what you do, basically, just being you. And then you wake up in the morning and find a post by your door written Royal Family's Property. Yes. So when the 15,000 people needed housing, they went to this part of Rio de Janeiro, which was the part where the high class people of that time used to stay at, and took their houses. Some of the people left grudgingly because obviously you're being kicked out of your home, but some people felt honored to be hosting royal family in their homes. So get this. When the Portuguese had to flee from Napoleon, they didn't have a place to stay, 15,000 people, and so they came to this strait here. So these used to be the rich people's houses, and obviously there's a lot. For instance, these doors are very high, and it's because the horses used to stay downstairs. The rich people used to trade from the second floor. So the richer you are, the more the floors you have, and the richer you are, the more the horse doors you have. So also apparently, the smellier your house was, the richer you are, because that means you had more horses. And also, if you was to walk here, you risk having a pee shower. What is that? They used to throw their pee to somebody with a bucket, a slave who used to collect them. And if you park there at such wrong times, you get yourself a pee shower. It's quite disgusting if you ask me. So when the royal family arrived, the locals were very disappointed because they thought the king was a handsome man, but then he turned out not to be. Apparently even his wife didn't like him, and also there was a lice infestation in the ship, so all the women also arrived bald. That must be the opposite of a grand entrance, huh? The actual royal family didn't live in those houses, rather they lived in this palace. It was the first palace. It doesn't look like a palace because it used to be a government building, and because they had no other place at that time, they used it as a palace temporarily. But because most of the European kings loved grand palaces, they didn't stay here for long. They ended up building another palace at a separate place in Rio de Janeiro. Now, the queen mother at the time was called the Crazy Queen because she was schizophrenic, which people only discovered that later. During that time, she was even isolated because people thought she was crazy and they could catch it. After the queen died, her son, the prince regent, was coronated to be king in that church you're seeing over there, and it's the only church all over South America that has ever held a coronation of a European king. I am so glad I took the tour because there is a lot of history here and it's rich. So I hope you're still learning a lot on this tour, and trust me, there's still much more to learn. We are now inside the palace, the one where the king was staying at, not the mom. The mom was staying on the other side, and there is a lot of history between the first king, Joao, something like that. Joao, then the second king was Pedro, who became an emperor. His son was also Pedro, and his daughter, who was Isabel. Now all these people are very important because the first king was the only king ever to be coronated in a colony here in Brazil, the only one in the Americas. And the second king was left here, and he's the one who signed the end of the Portugal rule, and he became an emperor. So the he's the one who gave independence to Brazil, and he's the one who signed that. So of course there was a lot of trading, a lot of things like that, and Brazil actually got its first national debt from there because part of the agreement was that they would inherit Portugal's national debt from England. So that was a really bad thing to do, but they got their independence. Then Pedro had to go to be king in Portugal, and his son Pedro also was left. So Pedro II was a bit shy, didn't like politics, and because he fought with the church because of different beliefs. Then the navy and the army were fighting because the army wanted to be recognized as heroes, and they revolted. And the third pillar, so there were three pillars: army, farmers, and the church. So after the monarchy lost the church, they lost the navy, then the fourth person who is important, I'm telling you, it's a lot of history, Isabel. So Princess Isabel is the one who signed the document to abolish slave trade, but there was one caveat in that she didn't give compensation, and because of that the farmers were really angry and they revolted and joined the church. So the monarchy now lost all their three pillars: the farmers, the church, and the army. And so the army revolted and told Pedro II, who was king at this time, that you and your family got to go. So they went back to Portugal. He was born here, raised here, so he loved Brazil and didn't want to leave, but he had to, and he always hoped to come back, but he didn't come back alive, though he and his family were buried here. So yeah, rich history. So take a tour, because I would never have done these things. I'm so glad I didn't do this on my own, because this is amazing. And from the balcony, make sure you come, because the views for days they're really good. Let's go learn some more history. Okay. Before it was a palace, when this building used to serve as a government office, it used to also serve as the official mint. This is where they could come and smelt the gold they got from the sea in Rio before they would send it back to Portugal. So the grounds also have a cafe and toilets, but today it's a national history exhibition. Next to the old palace is the Tiradentes Palace. It is the current parliament, but before it was parliament, it has gone through changes, but it was significant. Very early in the 17th century, it used to be like a house of congress on top and a jail at the basements, and later on, when Brazil became a republic, it was constructed again to be a national symbol. So it was named after Tiradentes, who was killed in protest to the Portuguese rule, and that's whose the statue is there. They made the statue to look like Jesus to garner more sympathy, but in real life it didn't look like that. Next on the tour, we will visit a very old bakery, an older church, and even show you where you can go to listen to samba music. Stay tuned. This tram goes around town, and it would be a really nice way for you to see the town if you don't want to walk. Our next stop on the tour is this bakery from 1894 that is very famous in Rio. They sell a lot of pastries, but what's also fascinating about it is that the building itself don't have any Brazilian elements except the wood. Everything else has been imported from Europe. So the next stop of the tour is this amazing bakery. It's called Colombo Bakery, and it's from the 1800s. So apparently even Queen Elizabeth chose it to come and take a cup of tea when she visited in the 1940s, and a lot of presidents have been here. They have their own chairs, they can sit like where the other person sat. One of the most common desserts in Brazil is this one that I'm trying. And a funny story is, we were watching a video about Brazil with my brother before I got here and my sister, and my brother didn't like it, and he was like, don't try that one, and that made me just want to try it more. So I'm sorry that I'm trying it, but I really had to. It's just chocolate, it's not anything else, it's chocolate. Let me show you. Okay, let me see how it tastes. Basically chocolate, almost everything. So just chocolate and more chocolate. They have some cream on the inside. It's nice, you should try it. Apparently Brazilians eat it when they're sad, when they're happy. It's an all occasion type of food. Okay. So I definitely should have listened to my brother, because a few bites in, it's already too much sugar for me. It is a lot of sugar, like too much. I can't even finish it. So go for a savory option if you don't like sugar, because otherwise you're gonna leave after 2 bites, actually 2-3 bites maximum, you're done with the sugar. It's a lot of chocolate, but if you do love chocolate and sugar, then it's the dessert for you. This is one of the most famous places to go out to eat and drink in the evening and listen to live samba music. Our tour has brought us here to this church that was very like segregated, which I really don't understand, because I am a Christian and proud of that, but one of the main values is actually love. But why would you segregate a church just some people? So in this case, just the merchants, but inside it's very nice Baroque style, European like feel, as you can see. So, you saw this quite a bit in that group tour I took on the other day, but I have more history because this is a history lesson, I told you. So, this is a municipal, the city hall, and it's where the leaders meet. And so, this is where people protest because they love leaders so much. And they have come to meet them in large group of numbers, large numbers of groups. Okay, however you say those 2 words, like that. And that building there was meant to look like the Louvre. How does that even resemble the Louvre in France? Come on. And that yellow building over there is the National Library, which houses every book that has ever been published in Brazil as a rule. This here is a statue of the dictator Vargas, who produces mixed emotions in people. I'm not gonna go political here, but the only thing I'm gonna say is that his nationalist movement to make Brazil stand out for tourism was to include things like samba, the caipirinhas, but he didn't want it in Lapa, so he moved it to Copacabana. So that was his part of like nationalist movement to make Brazil that symbol. Over here we have a theater from 1930s, the oldest one in the city and the only one functional remaining, and apparently it only opens when it wants. That happens to be today. They're showcasing a movie in Portuguese, and the last time they opened was the Barbie movie premieres. So yeah, they only open when they feel like. This is my group. Our tour was about to end. We passed through Lapa with the most amazing sunset, as you can see, and you can guess where the tour ended, because all tours end at one point in Rio, and you'll see. So, as I was saying, it seems all roads here lead to Celaron steps. You might have seen this walkway twice now, from the night video and from the other tour I took. We ended up here, and today's tour was really good. I loved it so much. Our guide Nina, she explained so many things. I know so much more now about Brazil, more than I would have known if I walked by myself. And so I suggest that if you're here, do that free walking tour. As I said, it's not really free. It's free, they're not charging you, but you're supposed to give them some gratuity or tip or collaboration, whatever you want to call it. So at the end of the trip, and they take credit card as well, so you don't have to have cash. And here we are, Celaron. So make sure you take our tour. At least you learn that history, and a lot more than I knew even about Celaron step. That he painted this woman. There are two versions of the story about why he did it. I'm going to explain that, and also that he died on the steps, which I knew from the other two though. But yeah, it's always crowded here. But if you wanna come here and be less people in the mornings, like around 8 a.m., 7 a.m., you should be alone. Beyond that, you won't be alone, trust me. The two theories about this painting by Sarah Ron is one, that it was a woman who left him and he was sad about it, or two, he was gay and it was his own alter ego. But they are just theories, it wasn't a confirmation by the artist himself. This is a cute take a picture with the names Escadaria, Celaron and Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so now I'm sitting on the Celaron steps, or stairs actually. Whew. It's been an amazing tour. It's been a lot of history. I don't even know if I have been able to cover it here, all of it here on the video, but I tried my best, and I hope right now you know something about Brazil, something new you didn't know before, or something you are reminded that you had forgotten. And this is the end of the tour officially. The tour group actually already disbanded down there, so it's just me now going home soon because I have to work tomorrow. And by the way, Rio gets really dark quickly, like very early in the day. It's only 6:05 p.m. right now, 18:05 for the 24-hour people, and it looks like it's I would say 9 p.m. in some places, but it's just 6 p.m. actually, so it's not too late, and it's a good time to end our tour. I went back home using the same metro because it was very easy, because the station is just outside where I was staying, and yeah, it was very nice and easy. But there were a lot of people. Keep in mind this was around 6 p.m. 6:30, so a lot of people were going home from work and the station was full, as you can see. This time I found myself in the women's only section, and if you don't feel safe in other places, this one will definitely be better for you. To go out, you don't actually need to check anything. They usually charge your card the moment, either whether it's your transport card or your debit card, when you swipe it. So no matter where you're going, they charge the same price, and exit, you just exit, no swiping your card. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed this tour so much, so I hope you enjoyed the video too. Catch me in the next one as I explore more of Rio de Janeiro. This city is amazing, and I hope you come to see it with me. So subscribe, comment, like, share, you know the drill, and see you on the next one. Join me next time as I take you to the famous neighborhood of Santa Teresa on board the famous tram on top of the arches of Lapa. So subscribe and hit that notification button so you know the moment it comes out. Bye.